Postured down completely, which we've been talking about pretty much exclusively. I keep my head completely buried, and I basically don't do anything. Keep my hands on the biceps to control the arms, and I keep my elbows in nice and tight.
My name is CJ Murdock. I'm 26 years old, and I am a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player.
Fight for my collar, or fight in.
I got started in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu kind of like a lot of other kids, watching MMA, specifically Japanese MMA. I wanted to be a lot more like Mirko Krokop than I am nowadays, but where I was living at the time, there was only a Jiu-Jitsu gym, and I figured, hey, if I wanted to fight, Jiu-Jitsu is probably going to be the hardest of all the arts to learn, so let's start with Jiu-Jitsu and work our way up, and that's kind of what I did.
He opens, and maybe I'm not going to get it, he's going to close real fast. What happened? His foot is on the floor. I know 100% of the doubt that as soon as his foot's on the floor, it's on the floor, so I have a split second, right? I'm going to come back.
My first instructor's name is CJ Murdock. He's who gave me all of my belts, white to black. I got my black belt on April 27th of 2013. It took me about roughly 7 years. I started Jiu-Jitsu when I was about 16. White to blue maybe about a year, and then purple belt took me about 3 years. And then I was a brown belt for the shortest amount of time. I was a brown belt for maybe 6 to 8 months. And then I got my black belt. Roughly after getting my brown belt, I started my own program in Jacksonville, North Carolina at a karate gym. I did that for about 6 months, ended up getting my black belt while doing that, and then the gym owner fired me like 2 weeks before Christmas with no notice because he didn't have any money for the program anymore. That left me without a job and without a real place to train Jiu-Jitsu, so I started going to Evolution down in Wrightsville Beach, who I had kind of been training with before then anyways. This was all through a mutual gym agreement between Rick Scree and the owners of Evolution, Jeremy Owens and Kerry Owens. After a while of training there, I met Jeremy Arel through a student of Evolution and a student of Great Grappling named Brian Crandall. Brian Crandall, I think he introduced me simply by asking me if I wanted to go on a jiu-jitsu trip he said, why don't you come with me while I went on work for about 3 days and come visit the school taught by Jeremy Arel. The only thing I really knew about Jeremy Arel is that he was supposed to be in Metamoris, but didn't get a chance to. He kind of offered me a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go train with Dennis down at Connection Rio and meet his instructor Gordo, and so I kind of came here thinking I was just going to be here for 6 months and then go to Brazil for 6 months and then leave, but I actually kind of really liked it here. And then after maybe 2 months into it, Jeremy's wife got pregnant and kind of offered me a job when I got back from Brazil. And me and him were we hung out every day since I got here, and like we became really good friends. So it was pretty easy for me to kind of accept the job, to kind of just me continuing my training under somebody that I think is going to help me in the long run.
Yeah, it takes a lot of stuff. I'm kind of comfortable.
The Connection Rio thing, literally, was like almost all Jeremy's idea. Yeah, he kind of said, well, why don't you go to Brazil? And I was like, dude, because I do jiu-jitsu and I don't have any money. He was like, oh, well, I went to Brazil. Let me talk to Dennis. And one thing led to another. Like I said earlier, he kind of offered me a 6 months and a 6 months. So it worked out pretty well for me.
Connection Rio is where I went to stay and train in Brazil when I went to Rio, thus Connection Rio. That's where I stayed for 6.5 months for the first time. I came home for 7 and I went back for 9.5. Connection Rio is owned by Dennis Asche, great guy for the community as a whole, but also a great resource for people that want to go train in Rio and in the surrounding areas around Baja or Rio itself. But being surrounded by other people that have the same goals as you can really help your training. You know, it's difficult to go training when other people want to go do things, go out to a club and tourist stuff, but it's a lot easier to maintain your training and that higher level of focus when the people around you are there for the same thing. And so at Connection Rio, you know, there are usually between 12, 20 people in the house, and they all have similar goals to you, whether it's MMA or Jiu-Jitsu, grappling in general, they're all there for the same thing. I met CJ through Brian Crandall, who's a guy that comes and travels a lot. He came to my school and trained, and he asked if he could bring CJ. I had heard CJ's name a few times. He's an avid competitor in the area, and so Brian asked if he could bring him, and of course, you know, I always have an open door policy. So CJ came in, very respectful. We got some good roll time. He's a very talented grappler. And so when we got done training and he went back to the beach, you know, I contacted Brian Crandall and I asked him what the deal with CJ was. You know, he's a young guy, he's already a black belt, a good competitor, and I hadn't really trained with him before and I'd been in this area. So I just kind of wanted to get some info about him, and I needed somebody to help me teach, and CJ ended up being that person. So in exchange for going to train in Rio for 6 months, he came here and helped me teach here and train here for 6 months. CJ wants to come back here to Great Grappling, or that's what he's communicated to me. He wants to be a permanent member, permanent instructor here. And when he communicated that, you know, it made me very happy. He fits in here well. He trains hard, he teaches well, and he has a very good instructor atmosphere, or creates a good atmosphere with his instruction, especially for the community feel that we have here at Great Grappling, which can be a little bit different than some other schools.
What I'm hoping to accomplish out of this trip to Brazil is like a better understanding of Jiu-Jitsu kind of in its purest form. Came from Brazil, that's something I've always wanted to do, and something that I never really thought that I was going to be able to do it. A lot of people my age kind of have other responsibilities that they're attached to that I just kind of stayed away from because of Jiu-Jitsu. So I want to fight Vale Tudo while I'm down there. I want to experience as much Jiu-Jitsu. My main goal is just to train with Gordo, train with De La Riva, and visit the GF team while I'm out there. Those are 3 dream schools of mine, and I'm hoping to accomplish. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to their academies as much as possible and train as much as possible while I'm down there. What is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to me? Life, in a very simple way. I don't do anything other than Jiu-Jitsu. So it's like I wake up for Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu. I go to sleep for Jiu-Jitsu. I want to compete as much as possible. Like my whole life revolves around this sport that isn't like a real sport to me. It's like my whole life.
Let's talk about your experience living in Brazil.
Okay, my experience living in Brazil was amazing, like anybody could imagine. Being able to spend 6 months in a country where you don't speak the same foreign language as they do is an experience all in itself. Mix that with getting punched in the face and doing jiu-jitsu competitively can get very, very confusing at times. There's plenty of times where I had conversations with people and I had no idea what they were saying. But overall, like, I really can't complain about a single thing. Being able to compete as many times as I did, being able to train with as many black belts and as many high-level guys as I did, just like, it's all just it's just all amazing. Like, I can't think of words to really describe my experience. So my first week in Brazil was pretty crazy. Like, I got there on a Sunday, so pretty much everything was closed. Everything was like kind of shut down. On Sundays they don't really do too much. I got there really early in the morning. I got there at like 7, so pretty much everybody was still asleep. Met Nicole and Torrin, who were the house managers there. Nicole made me some coffee. Had my first experience with Brazilian coffee. Not bad. It was not as good as I was imagining, but it was still really good. It's really strong, which I like really strong coffee, so it's good. Living in the Connection Marina house was pretty cool for me. Like, I'm really laid back, so it's not that hard for me. Like, I have a brother, so I was always sharing everything anyways. But like, it was the first time that I've ever like lived in a room with a bunch of other people. But luckily, like, my bunk, most of the people weren't, like, I didn't have a bunkmate on top of me at all times, so that was pretty nice. I didn't have somebody just moving my bed constantly, unlike some of the other people. But like, most of my good friends that I had in the house, they kind of came from just being out in kind of the open in that type of room. The first day I met my friend Arthur, who was training at Today. So I got introduced to Teddy's very quickly. I was at Teddy's the first day that I was training. Went to Gordo's in the morning and Teddy's at night. The first day I was there, they asked me to compete, so I competed the first week I was in Brazil. It was amazing. Like, big thanks to Nico Ball. Like, she set up everything. She was like kind of my little manager while I was in Brazil. So without Nico, I probably wouldn't have been able to do as many things as I was. So big thank you to you, Nico.
We dealt with a lot of different ways to get from this position, so we're just going to kind of tune it back a little bit. Now, because Miss Caitlin's going to turn towards me, she's going to turn her knee towards me and her foot towards me. It's going to be difficult for me to get this leg extended. So I'm just going to put a shallow hook in, and I'm going to kind of kick her leg. Boom. Now, her defense is to start to push my knee and get rid of this De La Riva hook. So this is how I'm going to get my grip.
Okay. Come here. Take a lower ball.
I'm just trying to create distance between him and myself. She's going to want to recenter. To higher recenter. If you really want to not recenter, you would. Yeah, we're just dealing with the entry, guys. Nothing fancy. Just the entry.
I want to get this. This is like a dream, right?
Getting to know Ted today was pretty amazing. Like, he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Like, super humble, like super down to earth. Like, he just like was very welcoming, like very good personality, like made me feel at home like pretty much the first week I was in there. Like I said, the first day that I was there, he invited me up to the favela to eat. Like, they got me signed up for a competition. So like, it really made me feel welcome, like pretty much the first day to like the first week I was there. Training at Teddy Days was pretty intense, like mostly focused on rolling. We did a warm-up, pretty much the same warm-up everybody does in all of their jiu-jitsu classes, mixed with some grip fighting, and then minimal technique, like 1 or 2 techniques, drilled maybe 10, 15, 20 times. And then it was mostly sparring. Small room, so we sparred like maybe 4 or 5 groups at a time. So maybe I was sitting out every other round, but for the most part, they had me roll pretty much every round. Like, see the gringo get tired. Being able to compete in Jiu-Jitsu down in Brazil was kind of a crazy experience. And for me to be able to do it as many times as I did was an experience all in itself. Like, just being in that atmosphere, it's like they just really are passionate about jiu-jitsu. Like, everybody's screaming, like it's super loud, it's super hot. There's way more people than I've ever seen in any jiu-jitsu competition ever before. Like, it's just, the atmosphere is so much different. The air is different to breathe. Like, it's just completely different than anything I've ever experienced before. Most of the atmosphere in tournaments are kind of musty, or like they have that like air-conditioned vibe to it, but like all of the tournaments were usually outside, or like kind of outside, like in a building that you had to walk outside to. Like, so it was like really hot, like really humid. It was really easy to get warm. Like, it was just crazy. Like, being an American black belt, being able to compete with the highest level of black belts in Brazil, like, was just like, I can't really describe what went through my head, like the first and the last time that I competed. It's just, I'm very lucky to be able to say that I was able to do that. So the Abu Dhabi Grand Slam was a tournament that they do, or just started doing, and being able to do that in Rio was absolutely amazing. Again, Nico hooked me up for that. Like, it was a huge pain in the butt for her to do it, but she still did it. Made sure that I got registered, and I was not far away from that money at all. So like, I'm very glad that I had that opportunity. Like, I competed in the absolute division as well as my weight class, and somehow all of my matches got right after. Like, I waited for like 4 hours, and then all of a sudden I did all my matches back to back. But like, it was just amazing. Like, being able to be on that type of stage, being broadcasted, like, it was just really cool. While I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu or being on a bus or just like hanging out at the house being exhausted from training, like, I was able to kind of live the kind of karaoke lifestyle. I went to the beach, like went to Açaí Tropical, my personal favorite acai place, but just kind of enjoyed walking around, looking at all the Brazilian things. Coconuts, acai, salgados. Like, the cool thing is I have like a little guy selling churros, and I'm a fat kid, so I love churros. So me and Arthur would kill some churros, even if we had to go get them before class. But it was good, man. I just like really, like, I enjoy eating, so like going to either like the Churrascaria or just going to the bakery and getting a cup of coffee. Like, I didn't do a crazy lot, but like, I enjoyed the very simple kind of basic elements of Brazil.
Mr. Nelson's going to start from a seated position. This is the beginning of the rep. Every single beginning of the rep is going to start just like this. So the person on the bottom is going to do a lot of sit-ups. Your abs will be tired. It's part of drills. I step inside, I'm going to push him on his shoulder. The same arm, it's never going to reach across. It's going to touch the closest shoulder. I'm going to touch his knee, I'm going to kick back. Notice, I push and he rotates. I go to knee on belly, he's going to push, he's going to restart, he's going to sit back up. And it's my job to get back into the open half guard, and it's my job to kick back. Now I get to hang out. Now I get to go again. Get to hang out. Now I get to go again. He resets in the seated position every time. I switch my stance every time. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Cool, let's get it. 1,
2. One of the coolest things about being a Connection Rio sponsored athlete is Dennis hooked me up with tickets to go see Copa Poggio, which was amazing. It was really long. It was like 6 hours or something like that, 6.5 hours. And the crowd definitely got a little restless. Even I got a little restless, but it was amazing. Like being able to see that many high-level matches. Like I had really good seats, so like I could see everything. The Brazilian crowd was going nuts. Like the GF team and Novo and Yao guys, of course, every time I was at any competition, you could see those guys and they're screaming their heads off. It was good. It was just like an amazing experience in itself because like we don't get that in America. Like you're not gonna get that type of crowd to go to Jiu-Jitsu super fights and like really respect it the way that they did. So there's so many high-level Jiu-Jitsu guys there. It was kind of crazy. Like everywhere you looked, like I met Hadjer, I met Rodolfo, I met AJ Souza at the end of the day. I got to talk to him a little bit, which was really cool. The Lucas Lepri, AJ Souza match was definitely my favorite. AJ won me some hey-eyes with that match. One of the funny parts of Copa Poggio is I was like sitting next to a few white belts that didn't really know too much, but they definitely like to bet. And so I won like 19 hey-eyes that day. One of the best experiences that I got to be able to do while I was in Rio was train with Milton Vieira at Rio Fighters and his coach Rogerio. Old school BTT guys, like very tough training, but also like really warm and open guys. Like Milton is crazy, likes to have fun, he's loud, he's dancing, but it's like when you train with him, you better be ready to train because he will get you. I don't think I've ever been tapped out more times in my entire life than rolling with Milton. Milton is crazy tough and he will choke you from everywhere. But he has like a super giving guy. Like he let me come in and train for free because he knew I was on there in Rio in sponsorship. I was supposed to fight 4 Rio fighters while I was in Brazil, but fortunately it just didn't work out. But like they gave me everything that they gave to their fighters, like 100%, and I really appreciate being able to train with Milton and Rogerio and Geraldo and Pedro and all the great guys that I got to train while I was there. So I've been feeling kind of like weird since I got back. Like I don't even think that I can honestly say after 2 weeks of being back that I'm fully adjusted. Like it's just everything's different now. I just kind of see my life in just like a little bit of different perspective. Being able to like witness some of the stuff that I got to see in the favelas and just some of the like daily things that I saw in Brazil. Like some days I would walk to the bus stop and people would just ask me for their water because they didn't have any water. Like we take for granted like a lot of things in America that I've kind of, like I said, it just kind of changed me a little bit. So I've been feeling a little weird since I came back. Like I'm not sure, like it's way cold. So like I've been like really cold, like all my joints have been kind of achy, but like it feels good to be back. especially it feels good to be back at Great Grappling. Like, the atmosphere here is really warm, and I definitely miss my new family at Great Grappling, but I definitely miss my family in Rio for sure. Everybody at Academia Fernando Terere and everybody at Rio Fighters, like, you guys are my brothers and sisters, and I definitely miss all of you very much.
CJ, Daniel. Alan, who'd you just go with? Alan.
So what are your goals now? Now that you're back, what is the future hold?
Just like keep repping Moreno Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I come from a very, very small, like, kind of Jiu-Jitsu family, and I just want everybody to know that, like, me and my brother, like, we do good at Jiu-Jitsu. Like, we're very dedicated, and, like, you don't have to come from a big school. Like, I don't have to be at California to, like, be good at Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I can be good here in Fort Mill, South Carolina, or be good training like where I was from before I moved here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Like, you need a good instructor, you need good training partners, and for the most part, like, that's all you need. You leave your ego at the door, you train hard, you know what you want, and I just want to be able to compete with the best guys in the world, and I want to be able to hang, and I want to be able to beat them. I'm looking forward to finally making my pro debut. Like, I believe that every jiu-jitsu needs to fight MMA. Like, because if you can't hold your own in an MMA fight, like, I'm not even saying like we all have to be professionals. Like, professional is a different level. But like, if you can't hold your own in an amateur MMA fight, then you're doing the wrong type of jiu-jitsu. Like, there's a big difference between sports jiu-jitsu and regular jiu-jitsu nowadays, and I just don't want there to be that big of a difference. I don't believe that there has to be that big of a difference. I think you should be able to play worm guard and punch somebody in the face at the same time. I think that it's just the way jiu-jitsu is meant. It's meant to evolve. It's meant to be more than just a martial art. It's meant to be more than a sport. So I just want to keep representing jiu-jitsu the way it's meant to be represented. First off, thank you, Evan, for making this sweet video. You're an awesome guy, and congratulations with your new family. I want to thank Jeremy, and then I want to thank Dennis Asche of Connection Rio, because obviously without those two guys, I would have not been able to have the experience that I had in Brazil. I want to thank all my friends and family that I have in Jiu-Jitsu. Because of Jiu-Jitsu, you guys are like part of the reason why I keep training as hard as I did. If I didn't have people watching me, I don't know if I would be able to train the way that I train some days. I want to thank Milton Vieira. I want to thank Terere. I want to thank Nogueira. I want to thank Rogério. I want to thank every single one of my training partners I had in Brazil. Geraldo, Pedro, Miguel, all of you guys. Like, you guys are forever my brothers. Like, I will always be better at jiu-jitsu because of you guys. A big thanks to US Grappling. Without US Grappling, there's no way I would have been able to be the competitor that I am today. I want to thank them, Andrew Smith, Chrissy, and Brian Lindsay. You guys are the best. Thank you, Toro, BJJ. Like, thank you anybody that's ever trained with me or rolled with me, or anybody that's ever fed my bum butt, because you guys know that I don't make too much money. So thank you guys.